All right, so good morning, class. Today we're going to begin our unit on mental and emotional health. Does anyone know exactly what emotional health or mental health is? So, emotional health or well being refers to the emotional quality that someone can experience throughout life. Mental health is defined by the WHO, the World Health Organization, as a state of well being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. For today's lesson, we'll be going over a lecture on factors that negatively affect mental and emotional health. Before we begin our lesson, I want everyone to think to themselves of some of the ways that our own mental or emotional health is affected because of anything that can occur within our daily lives. So, on that note, let's get started. Remember, class, take notes, pay attention in class, and study whenever you go home tonight because we have a 20-question quiz at the end of the week on the unit that we're going over this week, that being mental and emotional health. So, today's lesson exactly, we're going over negative factors of mental and emotional health. Um, you deal with negative factors in your life every single day that can bring you down. I mean, to put it very simply, negative factors of mental and emotional health are things that can just make you sad, mad, just not feeling happy or neutral, things that weigh you down. So the stresses of daily life and things like of that sort. So what is mental health? Mental health is a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her own community. Mental health affects how we think, feel, and act. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood and adolescence through adulthood. So, digging into the next slide, what causes mental health problems? So, mental health problems can have a wide range of causes. It's likely for many people there's a complicated combination of factors. Although different people may be more deeply affected by certain things than others, mental health can be affected by the following: childhood abuse, trauma or neglect, social disadvantage, poverty or debt, severe or long term stress, having a long term physical health condition, and unemployment or losing your job. Everybody deals with, like the slide says, everybody deals with mental health in different severities. I know people who the slightest negative factor can ruin their whole month. They go through they dig themselves into a deep hole mentally. They can't get out of bed. They're just they get really down in the dumps whenever something bad happens. But then there's people like myself where it takes a lot more for something to truly weigh me down. Like, I can adapt to a lot of stress because I've been used to it my whole life. So for everybody, it's a little bit different. Some people are just more prone to it, and that's okay. That's fine as long as you get the help that you need to figure it out. So next slide, we have factors affecting mental health. Breakups are definitely one. Y'all are going to learn about that probably here in the next few years. Um, Behavior, if you're not acting right, you're going to become more sad, and your mental health is going to go down because of it. Confidence can affect your mental health. If you're having a low confidence, it'll definitely affect how you think of yourself and make you feel more down. Abuse, like we said in the last slide. Physical illness, that's definitely something that happens. A lot of people, whenever they get sick, like with a virus or a flu or COVID, something like that, they feel physically ill, so they feel mentally down because of it. Also, having a low self-esteem can definitely bring down your mental health too. So, some early warning signs. Mental and emotional health issues can be found in early stages if you're aware of the warning signs. Early signs include, but are not limited to, eating or sleeping too much or too little, pulling away from people and usual activities, having low or no energy, feeling numb or like nothing matters, having unexplained aches and pains, feeling helpless or hopeless, feeling unusually confused, forgetful, on edge, angry, upset, worried, or scared, yelling or fighting with family and friends, experiencing severe mood swings that cause problems in relationships. I'd also say burnout is definitely another early warning sign, too. If you're starting to feel burnt out, usually all these things happen at the same time. I had a point in time in college where I started feeling burnt out and I was sleeping too little at night. I had no energy to do anything. I felt sad. Nothing felt important anymore. And I felt confused, but I had to deal with the problem head on and I got it fixed because of it. So, burnout is definitely something that we can deal with also. Mental health and genetics. This is something that I didn't know before the lesson, but once I've learned about it through some research, I was kind of surprised about it. So, let's dig into the slide in mental health and genetics. Research suggests that some mental health problems may run in families, but no one knows if this is because of our genes or because of other factors, such as the environment we grow up in or the ways of thinking, coping, and behaving that we may learn from our parents. Although the development of some mental health problems may be influenced by our genes, researchers still haven't found any specific genes that definitely cause mental health problems. And many people who experience a mental health problem don't have any parents, children, or other relatives with the same condition. So, from the way it sounds, the people who experience mental health problems are the only ones who deal with it, and it's something sporadic through genetics. It's not something that sprouts up throughout the whole family, like let's just say heart disease. Heart disease, if like your dad has it, you may have it too. While it seems like mental health problems is just something completely random. So that's something that's better than a physical ailment such as heart disease or something of that nature, maybe cancer too. All right. So it says condition affecting members of a family. Some disorders are seen in more than one generation of a family. As you can see, the orange people are the affected ones, and the yellow people are the unaffected ones. It's very sporadic. It looks like on the dad's side, nobody has it. And on the mom's side, more than likely the boys are going to have it, but there's one girl that has it too, besides the mother. So, bullying and mental health. Bullying is when a person repeatedly and intentionally subjected to verbal, physical, and dash or social behavior that causes physical and dash or physical psychological harm. It can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. It can be in schools, at home, at work, in online social spaces, via text messaging, or via email. Bullying has different impacts on everyone. It can cause people to feel powerless, alone, fearful, scared to talk with someone about what's happening. So I remember back whenever I was in school, elementary school wise, bullying was a lot different than it was whenever I got to high school. Whenever I was in elementary school, we didn't really have like a ton of social media or anything yet, and we're also a lot younger. So bullying was more traditional. Somebody would walk up to somebody and make fun of them, or they would, use insults and things of that sort with in person. Um, then, whenever I got to high school, bullying was a lot different. There wasn't much of it in person. It was a lot more of just online. They would make comments or they would make fun of people and tag people, make fake accounts to do so. So bullying definitely takes different shapes as you move along throughout life, but it stays the same throughout life. It shouldn't happen, and it definitely affects mental health in a negative fashion. If you see bullying going on, I would recommend going to a teacher, an adult, or someone that you trust to make sure that it stops. You shouldn't confront the bully head on unless it's absolutely needed. And then again, if it's absolutely needed, there's no need for violence to start. Just talk to them and let them know that you're not feeling good about it. And then, if that doesn't work, reach out to an adult, like I said, that you trust. So, on to the next slide. How mental health affects the physical health. Physical health can associate significantly with someone's mental health. A big variable that seems to contribute to mental well being, but is often underestimated, is exercise. Some benefits of exercise include lessening of anxiety and improving of mood and enhancing mental health. Having healthy exercise habits, maintaining good sleep, and having a clean diet are major contributors to improving mental health. So, I can definitely attribute to what this slide is saying right here. Whenever I was in college, I was with the La Tech powerlifting team. Even on my worst days, where I felt at my lowest and my saddest or my angriest, going to the gym and getting done, usually I would leave feeling more satisfied than whenever I got there. Because something small like a workout can help you feel accomplished because you got through the whole thing. You finished it. You did it. You accomplished your goal for the day. Or, something like the weights is a good thing to take your anger out on or your sadness because it's an inanimate object. So you can bottle up all your stresses and take it out on that one object without there being any repercussions for it. I would recommend, if you want to improve your physical health and mental health at the same time, definitely hit up a gym. Go ask about a membership fee, go into the gym and learn how to work out. It's very easy. It can be as small as 45 minutes in a day, and it can help in the long run for your mental health. It also, see, the slide doesn't mention this, but it also helps to improve your confidence and your self-esteem too. So that's also very good. Physical health definitely affects mental health in a positive way. So I would recommend, like I said, going to the gym. So the effects of untreated depression on your body. This is going to be a pretty big slide right here. We got about 3 slides on it. So depression is one of the most common mental health illnesses in the U.S. It affects about 26% of adults. Depression is technically a mental disorder, but it also affects your physical health and well-being too. Learn more about some of the most common symptoms of depression, as well as how depression can affect your entire body, especially if left untreated. As you can see, we have this graphic to the right that shows the entire body and how untreated depression affects each part of it. So, in your brain, it shows that feelings of sadness or emptiness, insomnia, preoccupation with death, trouble with memory or decisions. In your heart, it shows feelings of clinginess and risk of heart attack. I know a lot of people who had high stress jobs in their life, they ended up passing away from heart attacks because of it, because they're constantly dealing with extreme amounts of stress throughout their life. Um, let's see. So back to feelings of sadness or emptiness. So it says that lasting sadness, emptiness, hopelessness, or guilt that lingers and affects you day to day may be a symptom of clinical depression. Insomnia. Depression can keep you awake at night. This may be related to difficulties getting comfortable or quieting the mind. I've definitely dealt with that before. You're sad or mad about something, so you just look at the ceiling all night and you can't sleep. I understand exactly what that's saying. Preoccupation with death. Depression may cause a preoccupation with hurting oneself. It can also increase the risk of suicide. If it comes down to it and you're that sad that you want to hurt yourself, I would recommend finding somebody that you trust to talk about it with and receiving professional help on the matter. I had a friend in the past. She liked to harm herself, and she trusted me enough to help her out with it. So whenever it came down to it, I got her the numbers of a few people that needed or that could help her. So she ended up in the end going to these professional people and finding help. That way she didn't have to deal with this problem alone. But it took for her to reach out to someone that she trusted first just to be able to get this help. So, trouble with memory or decisions. Cognitive changes such as trouble remembering things or difficulties with making decisions can occur. These symptoms are especially common in older adults with depression. Some people Also report difficulty concentrating too. Risk of a heart attack, we talked about that earlier. People who are depressed are more likely to die following a heart attack. Feelings of clinginess. Depression can interfere with your everyday activities, but it can ultimately make you feel lonely too. In children, depression can cause clinginess and a refusal to go to school. Weight fluctuations. Depression can lead to overeating and appetite loss. Using food to cope can lead to obesity related illnesses and stomach aches, while poor eating may result in nutritional deficiencies. I've dealt with weight fluctuations too, where you lose 10 pounds and then you gain it right back. It can happen in an instant, especially if you're a bigger person already. So that's something that's more common than we think, especially in the United States, since we have an obesity problem already. Fatigue. Untreated depression can wipe out your energy levels during the day. Daytime fatigue may also occur from nighttime insomnia. So, things that I would recommend to combat that fatigue. We talked about weight fluctuations and how it causes nutritional deficiencies. Having a good diet with a well-rounded nutrition and can cause for you to be less fatigued because you have more energy from that fruitful diet. Also, drinking a lot more water, and like the slide said, getting more sleep at night. I think that those three things right there are the best things that you can do to have more energy naturally, as well as if you want to wake up and drink a cup of coffee, that's okay too. So, a weakened immune system. Depression weakens your ability to fight off diseases. This includes the common cold, as well as more serious long-term diseases such as cardiovascular disease. As we mentioned in the last slide, heart attacks. It all plays together like a puzzle. Constricted blood vessels. Depression and stress cause blood vessels to constrict, raising the risk of cardiovascular disease. Increased pain sensitivity. Headache and other aches and pains may affect a person with depression. Often, pain doesn't improve with medication. Lower interest in sex. Being depressed causes the loss of interest in activities you usually enjoy, including sexual relations. Taking antidepressants can also affect your libido. I have a roommate right now who has mental problems himself, and he has to go and see a therapist at least, twice a month to talk about his problems. He takes antidepressants or SSRIs. Uh, that helps him live a more healthy and normal life, because otherwise, if not, he would definitely be in a worse state mentally. But if it comes down to it, taking antidepressants is a very good way to help combat depression and negative effects of mental and emotional health. So, next slide, maintaining positive mental health. Some ways to maintain positive mental health include getting professional help if you need it, connecting with others, staying positive, getting physically active, helping others, getting enough sleep and eating right, and developing coping skills. So, getting professional help if you need it. You can go to a therapist, you can go um, to a psychologist, it doesn't matter. As long as it's somebody that you trust and you think can help you get the help that you need mentally, I would recommend doing that. Connecting with others by that, you can talk to your friends, vent to family, just keeping others around. That way they can help you with the problems. Because I guarantee if there's somebody in your life that enjoys your company and your friendship, they're going to value helping you throughout your problems as much as you're going to probably value helping them out too. Staying positive, this one's much easier said than done. We all have to learn how to stay positive at some point. So you got to practice, doing things like practicing more positive self-talk, and not putting yourself down, even whenever something doesn't go your way. Just having more positive outlooks on anything. Getting physically active, we talked about that. Being physically active can bring down stress. It can bring up confidence and self-esteem, things of that sort. And it just helps the body feel much better, which in turn also helps reduce depression from happening. Helping others, usually if you help a grandma across the street, or something of that nature, maybe help somebody get their cat out of a tree, it's going to make you feel happy about it because you've helped somebody in their time of need. So maybe doing one good deed a day, that'll definitely help increase your mental health and maintain a positive mental health too. As we talked about earlier, getting enough sleep and eating right, that's always important. We talked about having a good diet, being hydrated, and getting enough sleep and eating right can lead to better mental health. So I would recommend at night, if you want to get enough sleep, even if you don't have enough time for it, I would recommend at minimum 6 hours and at maximum about 9 hours. Everybody needs a different amount. Some people can operate well on six, some people can't. I know I can. It just depends on exactly what's going on in my life. Some nights I may sleep six, some night I may sleep nine, but I try to sleep as much as possible because sleep is very, very important. And developing coping skills, lastly. It could be anything. You could have a stress ball, a little foam stress ball that you just squeeze all the time whenever it comes down to it and you're not feeling good. You could take a few deep breaths and relax. You could, let's see what else you could do. You could take deep breaths and relax. You could also go and meditate. A lot of people like doing meditating too. You could go for a walk. You could go for a drive. And there's hundreds of different coping skills that you could do throughout the day. And on to our last slide of the day. We're going to go over a video on YouTube called 7 Things That Harm Your Mental Health.
Hey, Psych2Goers, have you ever wondered if you may be harming your mental health without even realizing it? Identifying some mental health pitfalls can be the first step towards improving your mental health. So here are 7 things that harm your mental health. 1. Being stuck in the past. Is replaying old conversations in your head and coming up with better comebacks a daily occurrence for you? Do you sometimes find yourself dwelling over what you should have done in a certain situation to the point where it becomes tiring? Ruminating is the psychological replay of stressful situations over and over. And these responses to negative emotions are associated with higher depressive symptoms over time and are predictive of future depressive episodes. 2. Living with a fixed mindset. People who believe that their qualities are fixed and unchangeable have a fixed mindset. For example, this could be someone who believes they'll never succeed in math because they weren't born a genius. A person with a fixed mindset may feel unmotivated to learn because they believe that they're not cut out for it, when this is actually far from the truth. In contrast, if you develop a growth mindset, you're able to embrace challenges, learn from failures, and persist through setbacks.
So, talking about the fixed versus growth mindset, I've dealt with a lot of people in my life who have fixed mindsets. Like I said, whenever I was in college, I was on the powerlifting team here at Tech. My family would always sit there and say, "Oh, I'm too weak to pick up this. I'm too weak to do that," which is characteristics of that of a fixed mindset, because you're basically telling yourself before it even happens that you'll never be able to do it because you're like this. But a growth mindset is what I possess, because I was like, well, even if you can't do it right now, all it takes is a little bit of practice and be able to do it in the future. So I want y'all to think about a fixed versus growth mindset. And if you are the kind of person that'll sit there and say before it even happens that you can't do something, try and adopt the mindset of I can do it with practice over time. So it could be anything. Like they said, math. You're not good at math. Well, how do you get better at math? You find tutoring, or you study, or you look at videos online. Anything can help you. So, in terms of fixed and growth mindsets, if you possess a fixed mindset, try and think outside the box more often. Tell yourself that you are able to do it and that you're capable of it as long as you practice.
3. excessively seeking reassurance. Do you constantly find yourself pondering the question, am I doing it right? On countless occasions? Excessive reassurance seeking is involved in the development of depressive symptoms. This shows its potential role as a vulnerability factor for developing depression. Or feeling no support during difficult times. Do you feel like there's no one you can talk to about your problems? Do you feel like
So we just saw that graphic that they posted on the screen. As you can see there, they were looking at social media, frowning. Another thing that's very important in life that especially matters right now. A lot of people, doesn't matter who they are, there's a lot of people that I've seen, they rely on social media to pick up their mood, to improve their mood. When in reality, all that social media does is wreck people's, emotional and mental health. If you look on something like Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat, it's full of people posting the best things that are going on in their life. Only the best things, the highlights of their life. It's never the downs, it's always the ups. So if you're feeling down and you go and look at this app, like Instagram per se, and you see that this person bought a new car, this person went on vacation, this person got a new dog, this person got engaged, you're going to feel sad because everyone else around you is having a grand old time and you're not. When in reality, they're dealing with problems too. So I would recommend in the future to take social media with a grain of salt because remember, people are dealing with the same exact problems as you, but they're only posting their best things about their life on social media. So, as I was saying, use social media sparingly and don't sit there and rely on it for your happiness because, in the end, it's not going to make you happy, especially if you're relying on likes, comments, and follows to make you feel good about yourself. There's so much more in life than just that.
no one cares about what you're going through? Such thoughts can lead to unwanted distress on your mental health. Tackling life's challenges alone is a difficult feat. It is in such times that one wants a shoulder to lean on or an ear that can listen. If you can't feel compassion or support around you during trying times, the effect of such situations on your mental health can worsen even more. So, it's important to surround yourself with your loved ones who genuinely care for you and are willing to lend you emotional support when need be. 5. Forgetting to take mental health days. How many hours per week is your me time? Do you make an extra effort to set aside some time just for your own good? You're always so busy that there's no time for you or your mental health. From entrepreneurs who work long hours without breaks to students who study until dawn, it can be distressing. Working for extended periods of time with no breaks can lead to burnout, which is a state of complete exhaustion. Burnout was a significant predictor of type 2 diabetes, coronary heart disease, and gastrointestinal issues under the age of 45. It's also a good idea to take a breather from your hectic schedule and focus on yourself as well. 6. Setting unrealistic expectations of others. Do you hold yourself and others to unattainable ideals? Is perfection the only acceptable answer for you? Having high expectations more often than not leads to disappointment. Facing such disappointments time and time again lead a person to lose faith in themselves and others. You begin to lose your motivation because nothing ever plays out the way you expected. Constantly falling short of your expectations can lead you to develop a pessimistic approach towards life in general. Marital therapy couples who held unrealistic beliefs for each other.
So, as they were saying, they're talking about not holding like super high expectations, demanding perfection. You can't demand perfection because it'll never happen. But I would say that it's also good to strive to be the best that you can possibly be and to try and grow as much as you can as a person because it's definitely going to help in life. We talked about earlier fixed versus growth mindset. A fixed mindset is going to be sitting there talking about, oh, well, I have to be perfect. Everything has to be perfect. But even if you do everything 99% correct, there's going to be 1% that's not correct. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. You're going to, trip yourself up um, and not be perfect at some point in your life. So try and strive to be as great as you can be. Don't compare yourself to others. You know, only sit there and make goals for yourself and try and break them yourself. Honestly, you can go and write on a whiteboard or a piece of paper some goals that you have that are very um, they're very realistic to accomplish, and make sure that you accomplish those goals yourself, because it can help pick up your self-esteem as well as you make progress in your life in anything that you do. But don't compare yourself to others, because some people are just more naturally gifted than others at anything, or they have something that you don't. So the best thing to do is to sit there, make the best of what you have, and to grow as a person because of that.
Were negatively associated with overall marital satisfaction, showing that ultra high expectations can harm relationships. Therefore, consider assessing the expectations you hold for yourself and others. It's always a good idea to cut yourself some slack. And 7. Not sleeping enough. Do you find yourself only sleeping for 6 hours a day? That's way below the 8-hour sleep recommendation, resulting in sleep deprivation. Sleep deprivation below the 8-hour sleep recommendation, resulting in sleep deprivation. Sleep deprivation was associated with depressive tendencies in medical trainees and an increase in anxiety scores. Sleep deprivation can leave you more susceptible to diminished mood and other mood disorders. A sleepy mind can decrease your functioning potential and negatively affect your daily activities. Your mental health requires as much attention as your physical health. It's important to look out for any habits of yours that may be negatively affecting your mental health. If you make an effort to recognize and eliminate such habits from your life, your mental health will certainly thank you for it. Looking for additional professional help is always.
So as we were talking about earlier, sleep. Sleep is so important. People neglect it every single day. I know kids in the 6th to the 8th grade, they stay up till 4 a.m. playing video games every night and then go to school the next day. They're usually feeling down in the dumps, or their grades aren't that good. And some people can get away with it. They might be smart and can make good grades even while not sleeping and things of that such. But sleep is super important because it affects the body in so many different ways than just mentally. Physically, if you don't get enough sleep, you're going to be tired. You won't move around as well. You won't have as much reaction time as you should. And mentally, you're not going to be feeling happy. You're going to have more anxiety throughout the day. So sleep is definitely something that's very important. And fixing your mental health can be as simple as going to bed at night, as going to the gym in the middle of the day, as squeezing a stress ball. It's not rocket science. I would say if you have problems mentally, try and figure it out yourself first. See if there's any coping mechanisms or any strategies that you can find that work for you. But then, if those problems still persist even with the coping mechanisms and strategies that you've proposed to yourself, that's whenever I'd recommend going find professional help, because they can definitely help you, but you don't want to have to shell out the money right away for it. If you can fix a problem yourself, I would say to definitely go for it. But sometimes there's problems that are so big that you can't do them by yourself. So, on to the end of the lesson. We're going to go over a few different questions for this lesson today. Let me pull it up real quick. All right, so we have 5 questions on the lesson that we went over. I want somebody to name one goal, at least one goal that can improve mental or emotional health. So one goal that you could use to improve mental or emotional health would be to go to the gym, to reduce stress levels, to feel more accomplished throughout the day. Question number 2. Describe at least 3 barriers to practicing healthy behaviors from information provided within this lesson today. So 3 barriers to practicing healthy behaviors from information provided within the lesson today would be not sleeping enough, not feeling good about oneself, and comparing themselves to others. Question number 3. Identify at least 2 ways that technology or social media can harm mental and emotional health. So, we talked about that earlier. I'm going to recap it again real quick. Social media, the way that affects mental and emotional health is you always compare yourself to others. You're going to sit there and see that, you know, Jimbo bought a new car and Susie got a new dog and, you know, somebody got a new video game and this person got some money today and this person made a good grade on their test. Everybody's posting about how great everything is. But more than likely, they're only going to post the great things. So you're going to sit there and be like, dang, everyone else's life is so great except for mine. But in reality, their life is the same as yours. Some good, some bad. It's the same as everyone else. They just post the positive things because they want to make it an illusion to look like it's good. So if you compare yourself to the other people, your mood's going to go down and your self-esteem is going to go down because of it. And the second way that social media affects health, mental and emotional health, is that it makes you rely on others. There's a lot of people I've seen in myself whenever I was in school and even today. They post a picture not because it was something that they wanted to post. They posted it because they wanted the validation of others. The only thing that they care about is watching those likes roll in. They want to see 100 likes, 200 likes, 300 likes. They repost it onto their story to make sure that more and more people like it. Because if they don't have those likes, they don't feel good about themselves. So the two ways that we recap that affect mental and emotional health from social media is you rely on others and you compare yourself to others. When in reality, if you do post something on social media, it should be because you wanted to post it, not because you wanted everyone else to see it. And you should look at it to enjoy it, not to sit there and be like, oh darn, well they're living so much of a better life than I am. All right, so question number 4. What are some factors that are not listed within the lesson that could cause negative health effects to your mental and emotional health? So I would say some factors that aren't listed that could cause negative effects to your mental and emotional health or burnout. We talked about that. We talked about bullying for sure. Um, some factors that cause negative effects to mental and emotional health. We talked about comparing yourself to others. Let's see. All right, so right here we have 6 everyday behaviors that negatively affect your mental health. Engaging in negative thinking patterns. We talked about that earlier. Fixed mindset kind of relates to it. Sitting there and telling yourself that you can't do something or that you're not capable of doing it. Multitasking. If you do too much at one time, you're going to sit there and end up stressing over it because you're dealing with too much stress to do something. We talked about social media. People obsessing over it. Procrastination. If you wait to the last minute to do something, you're more than likely going to be dealing with more stress to get it done. So that's a few things that we didn't go over in the lesson that cause negative effects to mental and emotional health. And the last question of today is, do you have any strategies that you currently use to alleviate the effects of these negative factors to mental and emotional health? So obviously we're not in class right now, so nobody can really answer that question, but I'm going to make an answer myself. I have a few strategies that I use to alleviate the effects of mental and emotional health of my own. Like I said, I go to the gym. I find that that's one of the easiest ways to get things done and feel accomplished, make myself feel better and not feel sad. So by going to the gym, usually doing a nice workout and then going home because you feel accomplished because you accomplished something positive from the day. Also, I may take some time off, disconnect and maybe like watch my favorite TV show or go do an activity that I enjoy. Or sometimes it could be as simple as like walking outside and, looking at the scenery around me, taking a deep breath and looking at everything around me to make sure that, you know, I find something new, especially whenever I was in college. Whenever COVID started, I was feeling kind of depressed because I was like, darn, well, there's nothing to do. What am I going to do to figure out how to get over this like small depression that I'm having because there's nothing that I can do around campus. So I decided I never really had time to walk around. So I went and walked around the whole campus the entire day and just took a deep breath and looked at all the scenery around me to enjoy everything. So it can be simple things, Like I said, I go to the gym, I take a walk around, or I disconnect and do something that I like. So it could be anything that you want to do. So moving on, we have our closure for today. So that wraps up our lesson. We did our lesson on the negative effects to mental and emotional health. So what all did we learn, class? I know that I learned that we encounter many factors in our daily lives that cause negative effect to our mental and emotional health. Can anybody name any other negative factors that affect our mental and emotional health that was not included in today's lesson? Remember that if you want to look up more information about anything that we learned today, I recommend using a .gov or .org site to get the most accurate information possible about mental and emotional health issues. These problems about mental and emotional health issues these problems are not permanent either. In tomorrow's lesson, we will go over how to improve our mental and emotional health on our own by using a few different strategies. If you feel like you're having problems with your mental and emotional health, make sure to reach out to someone that you trust to get help, whether that be a mental health professional, a friend, a neighbor, a parent, a family member, or just somebody that you know and trust. All right, so if we have a quiz at the end of the week, so start studying tonight to ensure that you're going to pass it. And make sure to keep studying, taking notes. We have 2 more lessons for the rest of the week, and then we'll have that quiz on Friday. So have a great remainder of your day, and I will see you tomorrow, class. Thank you.